customers into fans. Their new book, Fanocracy, Turning Fans into Customers and Customers into Fans, includes all 9 steps, and it'll be released in early 2020, featuring a foreword written by Tony Robbins. To find out more and pre-order a signed copy, go to www.fanocracy.com or follow David on social media at DMScott. Are you ready for a major breakthrough in your business? Are you hungry for growth and ready to take massive action? Tony Robbins has been working with the most successful businesses and leaders for more than 40 years, and he's taken everything he knows and packed it into an immersive, high-energy program called Business Mastery. This is not a typical business conference or seminar. Over 5 days, you learn directly from Tony how to uncover critical factors impacting your business right now, and then refocus and realign with the business strategy you need to compete in any economy. So harness your hunger, let go of your fears, and take your business to the next level at Business Mastery. Visit TonyRobbins.com/BM podcast. That's TonyRobbins.com/BM podcast.
Everybody wants good culture. Everybody talks about good culture. We know that it's performance. We know that it adds to your performance. We know that it's the most important thing you have. But our way of understanding culture is really, really primitive. We normally think of culture as like the personality of a group, like it's in their DNA. That is wrong. Culture is not about what you say. It's about what you do. It's not about words. It's about behavior.
That's New York Times bestselling author Daniel Coyle. Daniel has been writing about talent and performance for the past 20 years. In fact, you may have heard of his book, The Talent Code, where he explores the reasons why certain people are exceptionally good at things. He's gone all over the world looking at great performers, trying to figure out what makes them tick. And in his travels and research, observing and analyzing people and their behaviors, there was one other question he hadn't answered yet. What is it that makes certain groups special?
We all have it in our lives. Like we walk into a restaurant, we walk into a school, we walk into a business, we walk into a family, and it's like things feel different there. People are more tightly connected there. We have all these ways of explaining it, like, oh, they have great chemistry or whatever, but there's something there, and it feels like magic. And so that was the mystery that drew me in to say, look, what's really going on in those places that have incredible culture? What's really going on in the top performing cultures on the planet? So I started making lists. I broke it down into groups that had performed in the top 1% of what they did and had done so sustainably for more than a decade with a variety of people. And the list got pretty targeted in pretty quickly. San Antonio Spurs basketball team, Navy SEALs Team 6, IDEO Design, Pixar, even a Serbian gang of jewel thieves, like who were actually really, really good at what they did. And I spent some time diving into the science and spent some time on the boots on the ground visiting these places and seeing what they're really like and seeing what patterns they share. Because so that mystery drew me in, and that idea, like they're performing really, really well. What's behind the magic?
Daniel wrote about his research in his newest book, The Culture Code. And in fact, Tony Robbins liked the book so much that he recommended that all members of his leadership team read it. What Daniel found is that there are 3 key behaviors that determine the success or failure of your organization's culture.
The biggest platform for building culture is behavior number 1. It's building safety, because safety gives you that sense of certainty because you're connected. We've got these brains that are several million years old between all of our ears and behind all of our eyes. And so we are incredibly susceptible at all times to signals that we're not safe. If we get a signal that we're not safe, that we don't share a future, that someone doesn't care about us, we can't help it. We shut down, we turn off, we put our energy elsewhere. So the idea that the first thing a leader has to do, the first thing a business has to do, the first thing a group has to do is send those signals of safety at the very beginning of a relationship is probably the biggest idea around. It's the biggest idea for performance, because that moment of safety is the platform where everything gets created. And my favorite story about what safety is and how we are defaulting away from it all the time is a story about a man named Peter Skillman. Peter Skillman was an engineer, and he got super interested in this question of what makes great performance. And so he decided to investigate it with a contest. And the contest was really simple. Who can build the tallest tower with the following materials? 20 pieces of raw spaghetti, 1 yard of Scotch tape, and a single standard-sized marshmallow. The only rule is that the marshmallow has to go on the top. And so he divides people up into teams, 4-person teams, teams of CEOs, teams of lawyers, teams of MBA students, and teams of kindergartners. And ready, set, go. And they all start. And all of the adult groups start by talking. They all talk. And then they have an idea, and then they kind of hone that idea and make suggestions on it, and they divide up into roles, and they start to build. And it looks really good. I mean, it looks super smooth. It looks really smart. The kindergartners do not start that way. The kindergartners, they eat all the marshmallows except one, and then they start jamming stuff together in a totally chaotic way. And if you had to bet your salary over which group would win, most of us would bet on one of the adult groups, because that's what our mental model of group performance is. I mean, when we see people interacting smoothly and cooperating, we think it's going to add up into good performance. And when we see total chaos, we think it's going to add up into bad performance. But what Peter Skillman discovered is that the kindergartners win. Their towers are taller, and they're taller by a significant amount. Actually, they're taller. It goes the MBA students build the lowest towers, then the lawyers, then the CEOs, and then the kindergartners. It's not even close. And the reason that they win is that our mental model of group performance is wrong. It's totally wrong. It leaves out the two most important factors. It leaves out status management, and it leaves out safety. Like, the adults look like they're cooperating, but in fact, they're using those, several million-year-old brains to do what we always do in a group. We navigate status. We worry about where we fit in. We wonder who's in charge. We think, is it okay to say that? And our subconscious brain is wrestling with all that status stuff. And as a result, you get dumber, you get less creative, you don't give good feedback, and you get a bad performance. And the kindergartners, nobody cares who's the CEO of Spaghetti Incorporated. All they do is jam stuff together. And what better way to build than in a completely safe environment where you put something together and it falls over? That's great feedback. And you put it together again, shoulder to shoulder, jamming things together until you get a good result. That's what safety is. That's standing shoulder to shoulder with people, not paying attention to who's doing what, everyone absorbed in the same problem. It's not about how smart you are. It's about how safe you can be together. And so that's why safety is so important. It's the basic foundation to create the certainty on which everything else depends. All the other exchanges of information, all the other feedback, all the other leadership, all the other purpose is built on that platform of certainty.
But you don't have to be a kindergartner to create certainty within a group. There are professional sports teams that do this really well, like the San Antonio Spurs. They're one of the most successful sports franchises of the past 25 years. But why?
What makes them more mysterious is that, they're coached by a guy who appears to be the crankiest man in America, like Greg Popovich. He's